as you know, when His Holiness has arrived in Russia, he stayed in the Intercession monastery of Moscow, where the relics of Saint Matrona are situated. Of course, when he has arrived, he, as a kind of, as a sign of hospitality from this monastery, they invited him to see the relics, to venerate those relics. It was the first time. Of course, he has venerated, prayed a little bit, and came back to his room. I remember during the middle of in the middle of the period of his visit, of his staying in Russia, in Moscow, he asked if it's possible to just, I mean, not officially, but to go back to the relics, to venerate, to pray a little bit. I say, of course. And of course, I was accompanying him together with the abbess, Mother Theophania. We accompanied His Holiness without, I mean, nobody from the bishops. They stayed somewhere else in the hotel. We came there. He said, can I pray just here, stay somewhere? I said, of course, Your Holiness. The abbess, I remember, she ran somewhere to take a share for him. So I remember from his pocket he took a package of papers. I believe they were the names of followers. So a huge package of papers, and he venerated the relics, and he started to read, to pray, and it was I remember it was a little bit, something like 20-30 minutes, something like that. He prayed. I was staying, of course. I saw he was praying, and after that he finished, he venerated, and he said that he thanked Mother Abbess, he thanked me, say, oh, thank you for allowing me to come back here. And he said that he felt really a strong power emanating from the sarcophagus where the relics are venerated. And he said that she's a great saint. So that was one of the such an experience where I personally took part in. And so it was, you know, during the official, I say that what I wanted to say is that, of course, all the heads and the primates who are visiting, no matter which church, they have their own prayer schedule, etc., etc. But, you know, during the official visits, sometimes the program is so heavy, so charged, that sometimes it is practically impossible to see a patriarch or a Catholicos praying. Or he's in his room or somewhere else. I don't know. When you see him only meeting people, etc., etc. And for me, it was a unique experience. Seeing a head of the church who was at the time quite old. He was not a young man. Despite the heavy program that we have encrusted in his visit, to visit those churches, these monasteries, to see some people, and so. And in the context of this heavy program, despite of that, he found a moment to pray for all the people that gave the papers with their names, and also, you know, to venerate a Russian saint. And of course, His Holiness gave a start for the veneration of Saint Matrona in India. It is, I think, it is the first time in the history of our church that one church, I mean Oriental Church, is starting to venerate our Russian saints. So I think His Holiness, by this action, it was not something. You see, it was not something that was planned. I mean, he didn't want it. to make it like protocol. Now we will do this, we will do that. No, he started to venerate her by his own heart, without cameras, without something like that. And by this, he included in golden names, golden letter, his name in the history of our relations, because he who put the start in the veneration of our saint in India, and of course he was, by his life, by his spirituality, we are really we really believe that he is praying for those relations, because as you know, in 2019 he wrote to our patriarch, I believe it was 2019, sorry, maybe a little bit earlier, but 2019, I guess, he wrote to our patriarch to propose him to renew our relations, to give those relations a second breath and breath. Sorry, sorry for my English. And he proposed to come to Russia to think, to speak about that. And of course, he was one with our patriarch. They were the foundators of the new history of those relations with the Malankara Orthodox Syrian Church. And like Metropolitan Nicodim, who was the spiritual father of our patriarch, and like Metropolitan Paulose Mar Gregorius, who was, I think, who was the example of the greatest metropolitans, Tirumenis of the Indian Church, who is venerated, I think, practically in the whole Indian Christian world. And so, like they have worked a lot in establishing our relations, I think His Holiness Paulus II did the same, followed the example of Paulose Mar Gregorius. I believe that.